Hi, everyone. Welcome to the live stream. We're late. I also saw the comments already. Very funny. Everybody's being very funny today. That's good. Keep the spirits high. Welcome to Pierre. Welcome to Luke. Welcome to Thomas. Great to have you guys. There's going to be a very interesting discussion today. We had the chance to see Van het Schip operate 4 games, 3 in the Eredivisie, 1 in the Europa League. And, you know, I just wanted you guys to brainstorm, like, okay, what were the key takeaways? What we can, you know, like extract from what we've seen, and maybe also how can we improve going forward. And I also asked you guys, and that's why I took a little bit later than usual to start. I asked all 3 of you to come up with your formation going forward. So also I have to say, given everybody is also fit, so nobody is injured, so that's important to say. We will touch upon that later. We will also show you guys what they came up with in terms of the starting 11. So that's always nice to see. And of course, also the viewers that are here, thank you for being here. And if you have any questions for any of the panels or any comments, we will try to bring it up as well. Let me start with Pierre. Pierre, you're very outspoken, always. Also on X, on Twitter. Yeah, so I wanted to ask you just generally, let's talk a little bit generally, right? Van het Schip took over. Are you happy with what you've seen so far?
Not really, to be honest. My problem has mostly been that the game against Volendam, we've played a much wider formation, and it gave us space. It made the players look better, and we kind of did the same thing against Heerenveen, and it already worked a little bit less well. Then Van der Boma got injured, and we just completely gave up on the tactics, and we basically reverted back to making the formation narrow, giving the players no time to show their quality, and creating absolutely nothing. The pass map has been looking horrendous again. We've been going left to right, all the way back so many times, and I just can't bear to look at it anymore.
Do you think the switch back from wide type of play to narrow type of play is only because of Van der Boma missing?
I do think so. I do think he's the player that can basically, with his kicking technique, he can easily play in Berghuis or Bergwijn when they make the field very wide. Whereas since he's injured, we don't really have anyone that can do that. I mean, except for Berghuis. I still don't know how to pronounce his name in English. But he should be able to do it. But he's playing as a right winger because we don't really want to play him lower on the midfield because he can't really defend.
Yeah. All right. We'll touch more, like we'll go deep dive a little bit more into these things as well. Just one question, apart from the tactics, right? Because you just jumped into the tactics. What's your impression of Van het Schip, how he's training these boys? Also, individual players. Do you have a different opinion about certain players? Compared to before, when you took over?
That's interesting. I think Van Schip has been well. He seems very nice. You know, he seems very confident, but he also seems very kind. He keeps an eye on the players, and he makes sure they feel okay. Whereas Stein just completely disregarded them. So that's a big change, and it's a positive change, and it definitely works for the players. My problem, however, is the tactics still aren't great. The players, some of them at least, I think, do look a bit better, but I also expected them to look better. Soetalo, for example, I think most of us know how good he could be, but he just hadn't been able to show it, and he's now starting to show how good he is.
All right. Thomas, what's your opinion on the 4 games you've seen so far with our new gaffer?
Yeah, so hello, everyone. Well, the main thing is here is that the important we have to remember that there are 2 points of reference. So our previous, the so-called manager, and also the expectation we should have for Ajax, right? And thinking of the first one, so compared to what we were playing under Stein, this is way better, obviously, and like I love the fact that the atmosphere around the club right now is meh instead of terrible, right? Because it was absolutely horrific before. So this is a huge improvement. The interview Akpom gave, for example, saying that he really appreciated Van Schip taking the time to talk to him. It's no like brain surgery or like quantum physics to know that you have to talk to your players and like pay attention to them and spend time with them. So I'm happy we have the very basic functionalities of a football club, like a team back. And in that regards, I'm very happy. Obviously, Sutalo, for example, is a huge improvement for me. It's still way off what we should get from him, but the vector of change for almost every player is rather positive, I would say. So yeah, now this is the moment when we actually can, in a reasonable, honest way, judge the potential of this team. I feel like, yeah. You can obviously see that we need time right now, and we actually need time. We can see that some things are developing compared to what was under Stein, where we only knew that it's going to get worse and worse. And yeah, now if someone says to me, "Yeah, they have to wait. You have to wait. All this have to gel in, and so on and so on." Yeah, I can believe that. I have my doubts still because I agree with almost everything Per said. So I have my like tactical doubts and personal choices and so on. However, all in all, yeah, I'm quite positive. Still, I don't understand certain personal choices. The Almer game and Mikotaze seemed like he had no clue what he was supposed to do, and it just didn't work. It just didn't work. This is something. There's only one person to blame for this, and this is our current manager. But on the other hand, he was able to make 3 changes during the halftime. So apparently, it is possible. A manager can make changes and perform them before, like, I don't know, 80th minute or whatever. So yeah, he can react, but he can make mistakes as well. So all in all, it's meh. So a gigantic improvement.
All right, Luke. Last but not least, as we call you, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but you have kind of a reputation. We call you Pep Junior a little bit because of your, coaching degrees, licenses. You're very busy.
No hair.
Yeah, of course.
No hair.
Talk to us. What's your conclusion? If you can draw conclusions, of course. It's still early, but 4 games in, Van het Schip as a coach, what have you seen? What's your takeaways?
I think we're starting to see the best of Brian Brobby for what he can do. His main role has never been to run in behind and shoot and score goals. He's never going to be that player, in my opinion. We've been there and had our conversations on here about whether Brobby has the composure to be able to score goals, etc., etc. And at times it looks like he does, and at times it looks like he doesn't. But the key is when they're playing to his feet and he holds it up. As Thomas said about Mikotadze, yeah, he didn't look like he knew what he was doing as a 10. But as soon as Akpom come in, who was played as a 10, he got onto that ball that Brobby held up and he scored, right? That's what I see them trying to do, is using the best of Brobby, because you have him. You might as well use him. The difference is that it's about the personnel that are around him. So I agree with Ajax about Brobby being used and having the wrong wingers. Absolutely, you can't have Berghaus because he's more of a playmaker. Right, he's not someone that will get the ball and run at his man or play off Brobby as in trying to make runs in behind. Forbes will be better, yes, but I think someone else like Mikotadze could do better cutting inside and making runs off, because he's known to score goals also, playing off Brobby if Akpom can't. It depends. But at the moment, I'm happy with what I'm seeing, because we always had that conversation about as long as we see progress, then results, you can lose football matches. It's a sport. You win, you lose some. But I've definitely seen progress, and I'm happy with some of the things I've seen.
Before I show the starting 11 you guys came up with going forward, so you guys are drawing, of course, from the matches you guys saw. Let me ask you about the last match we played. And I'm not trying to be negative here, not at all, but I'm just wondering, what went wrong against the Almere City game? So I heard a lot of reasons, to be honest. I heard the pundits, I heard fans, I heard Van het Schip after the game. I heard a couple of things. So I want you just to express your opinion about this, and I'll start with Pierre. I heard, first of all, the energy was not there. Not the same intensity, energy as we showed against Brighton in a Europa League game on Thursday. Second of all, tactics. Tactics was not the best tactics that we, putting the players, maybe the shuffle in the midfield was not ideal. Also referring to what you guys said about Mikototse. Also, other people are saying, like, look, we're reflecting a lot on the result, the 2-2. But honestly, if you look at the chances, although we didn't play our best game, we should have never lost points that game, if you're very honest. Also, Taylor hitting the post, these kind of things. We had chances, and of course, the best referee of the Netherlands, according to some, didn't give us a penalty. So, I'm not complaining about that. I'm just stating things that happened, right? So my question to you, Per, is looking back, what do you think was the key ingredient why we didn't get those 3 points at Almere?
Well, first of all, we've wasted half the game. The first half of the game, we were absolutely dreadful. And we haven't created any opportunities, like barely any decent opportunities. Then secondly, it somehow feels like the opponent can still just hold on to Brobbey as long as they want, whenever they want, and it just doesn't matter. So every time we actually got like a small opportunity, they just hold them down, and Nijhuis wouldn't whistle because he doesn't like us. I don't know. I don't want to complain too much about the referee, but I feel like we should have had 2 penalty kicks, and it feels ridiculous that we then end up losing against a penalty. Or well, not losing, I guess it's a draw, but it feels like a loss.
Yeah.
And then second half, I think Akpom said it right. We need some game management. I don't know why the entire team's going forward with like 1 minute to go. It just doesn't make sense. Just win the game. We need the points.
Yeah. All right. So game management for you, it was really game management what went wrong, even though we didn't play well and we wasted the first half, what you said, right?
Yes.
Thomas, you agree with that? Do you have another maybe
I totally agree. The counter-attack we conceded after which the penalty was given. There were at least 3 players in front of Brobbey at that situation, I believe. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe none of them bothered to go back, even though the counter from Almere wasn't that dynamic and so on. So the whole situation seems to be easily avoidable.
What is worse for you? What is worse, that Brobbey lost the ball there?
No.
The sliding.
Brobbey made a mistake, and it's obvious, and there's no way to sugarcoat it. However, he's the last player I would blame for this game. He was exhausted. Obviously, he was our most involved player in the game. He had a load of duels. Most of them he did well with, and remember him from a couple of months ago. Can you remember him being that strong and fit after? Never mind 90, but 60 minutes, right? So he's put in a huge work into himself, basically, and I believe this might have been his best game I've seen in an Ajax shirt. He didn't score, but still, I was very happy with him, so I wouldn't blame him. Yeah, it happened. It would have happened, but the team should have reacted better to this. The way he lost the ball. But all in all, I believe we never made the game ours. We never were totally in control of the whole clash, especially in the first half. We should be considering trailing actually after the first half, I believe. Maybe not based on what each team created, but the basic look of the game seems to me like we were the lesser team. After the break, it looked a little better. Still, I believe that a game is like a sum of all the advantages you have, and obviously sometimes single shots make all the difference. But it's easier to get into the heads of your opponent's opposition if you dominate them, right? And we lacked that. And also, obviously, it's a sum of all the small things, right? The missed chances. Yeah, we were not clinical enough, but isn't that the case the whole season, to be honest?
The thing, just to interrupt you there, and maybe you guys can react, all of you, also the people that are watching. After the game, I was a bit surprised when I heard Van het Schip say like Berghuis was substituted because he was not entirely fit to play the game. So he played him the first half as a starter, and then he took him out. During the game, we probably thought, okay, Berghuis was not having his best game, so he took him out because of tactical reasons, or maybe he's not playing well. But it seems that because it was already predetermined that he could not play more than maybe 45, 60 minutes. Do you guys think at this stage that we are in, we should take these kind of risks with our players, not because of them getting injured, of course, is very important, but more also like we're not performing at the level in which we can just let players play that are not 100%, right? Or am I being too critical right now?
Well, I would take one more thing into account. Berghuis is a very important player for us. I guess in the dressing room, he's one of the senior players and so on. Maybe the manager didn't want to openly criticize him for his performance and came up with an excuse like that. You know,
in
maybe
Dutch,
that was...
yeah, but in Dutch we have an expression, I don't know if you have it in Polish. What is it? A good start? What is it? A decent start is half the work or something like that. You know what I mean, right? So if you start well at the game, it's much more important than at a later stage trying to repair something. Is it?
Yeah, and if you have a half-fit player, he obviously would be able to make more impact during a more tired opposition. Like, seems logical.
Yeah.
Still, I don't know. It's very difficult to judge all the players because I feel like we have a new team because every player is like having a fresh start on the new manager, and it's like we don't know them all, to be honest. So I don't know. The difficult thing here is that we don't know what's happening backdoors. We don't know how actually Berghuis felt. Maybe the manager thought that he's going to feel better after 45 minutes. No. So hard to judge. I don't have a clear answer here. However, we have plenty of players. Maybe not all of them, making us happy. But provided we have a pretty wide selection, I would strive to keep players healthy and don't risk them. Actually, I can agree with that.
One of the things that for me, although I never fully agreed or always agreed with Ten Hag's primary, basically principle, if you want to play, you have to be top fit, right? And I think this is very important because you cannot like show the best version of yourself if you're not entirely fit. And I'm repeating myself. I don't think we're at a stage this season, or in terms of our squad composition and how we're performing, we cannot take those risks. We cannot just have, even though Berghuis is an experienced player, if it was Bergwijn, was the same for me. If you're not fit 100%, you shouldn't start. All right, but maybe it's just me, But okay, let me go to Luke before we go to the other subject. Luke, what's your opinion about what happened at Almere?
It's about perspective to an extent. Obviously, the game management was an issue, and I fully agree. Didn't take the chances. That's the biggest thing because you have to score goals to win the game. Obviously, that's how football works. But it's about but it's a perspective thing, right? So if Robbie scores, makes it 3-1, no one bats an eyelid at anything else, right? But at the same time, Tahirovic slides in to block the cross that he thinks is coming first time, and it doesn't. But if the cross comes in, he clears it, everyone's like, wow, amazing block, And we're talking fine margins here when it comes for draws, wins and losses, aren't we? So it's a matter of perspective. Absolutely, the team were awful in the first half.
But do you agree, Luke? But do you agree with what Pierre said? Pierre said basically he started with, look, the first half was just you can throw it away.
Yeah. I was about to say, poor. Right? I couldn't remember one thing or two things that Mikatadze did, for example, and it's not his fault, but playing as a 10. It kept going to Robbie, but he never would play off, kind of thing. And I kept seeing runs from Taylor, and let's not talk about Taylor. But the point is it comes down to game management when you're 2-1 up and not taking the chances to secure the lead at the end of the day. Right. We can't put a specific blame on whether Robbie lost the ball or Tahirovic.
No, I'm not.
I'm just saying, like Thomas said, it's just what the whole team. And it comes down to the manager, absolutely. Game management. He should have managed it better.
All right. Do you guys feel like, just one more question? You guys know I like to ask more questions. I'm sorry about that. One more question about that, game management. Do you guys feel like because I assume you guys also were a little bit surprised about the squad 11 against Almere City, and of course we know that Van der Bomen and other players were not fit and couldn't play. But in general, also what you said, about we basically changed tactics also because of that. Do you feel like also looking at Van het Schip making a lot of substitutions in the second half, not only that game but also previous games, like he's making full use of rotating and changing stuff? Do you think he's trying like to test his players, even though it sounds a bit weird because it's a real game, but he doesn't have time to really see those players perform, and he has to reinvent and rewatch those players perform against opponents? Or am I going too far with this?
I'll be honest, I don't think that's the case. I think he comes up with the most ridiculous formation possible and then realizes that it's ridiculous and that he needs to change it back, basically. I don't understand what happened in the last couple formations, but out of nowhere he changed everything. And then halfway he realizes he needs to, substitute a couple of players to make it work again.
One of the things that he changed, right, from especially when you go from Heerenveen to Brighton, is the wrench situation. That he started as a right back, not only a right back, sorry, he started as a center back, and then he moves up the DM role. So he becomes a 2-pivot DM. You have one more option in the build-up play, and then you have 3 at the back, right? So this is something we saw against Brighton and also against Almere City. So Wrench moves up the pitch a little bit and becomes like a midfielder. Is this a little bit something that you are not totally behind in terms of idea?
No, I actually believe Wrench did pretty well. My problem with that is that it basically made Guy a center back, and that's what I don't understand. Like, if you put someone else at center back, I could get it. Basically, I understand that. I would maybe even do the same. But just why would you put the fullback at center back? That doesn't make sense to me, especially the fullback that likes to attack.
Okay, but you're in your eyes, and maybe you guys as well, Thomas and Luke, Wrench is a fullback. He cannot play or fulfill another role as a center back, semi/defensive midfielder.
I actually think he's better as a centre back than a right back, in my opinion.
Well, I would say he's forgive me the comparison, but in a way he's he's a like half the Mazraoui, right? He played in a lot of different positions. Wrench used to play as a centre back as well, so he is supposedly familiar with that. And if there is a player that should be like that is an option to be moved around, it's him, I guess. Well, I agree with Per that Wrench did surprisingly good in the midfield. So I guess we all expect the worst from him, and he wasn't the worst. He was okay-ish. So yeah, but all in all, yeah, I know we were the 3-4-3 thing is a very Ajax thing to do, and it's not something we haven't seen ever, especially if you're a little bit older. Still, it always seems to me like a little bit like a child in the fog, just like trying to figure out God knows what, to be honest. It never seemed organized, and this is something just like with our pressing game. I thought that against Brighton away, we didn't press mainly because we wanted to defend and be compact, but also I thought that we didn't press because this team is not very familiar with each other, and they don't know how to press. So if you don't know how to press, you don't do this. And here, I don't know. I thought that we were not going to do stuff we were not fine with doing, right? That we're not familiar with doing, and this is what I saw. The Mikotadze thing is like the crown example of that.
We will definitely touch upon Mikotadze when we go through the 11 you guys came up with. Before we do, which will be the next thing we will do, let me just go quickly on the comments so far, and if you guys want to react, just let me know. Juan is not stuck in traffic, so don't worry about that. That was not the case. Evening to all of you. And Ajax Magnus is saying, will you guys get into the comments from Cruz? Yes, we will. A little bit later on. We will definitely touch upon it. Christian is saying, gentlemen, the last couple of weeks have been quite a roller coaster. In a couple of words, how did you guys undergo this? What were your experiences? Maybe quick 1-2 sentences. Let me start with you, Luke.
About the last couple of weeks in terms of everything that's come out in the matches and things like that.
Everything. Everything.
Like I said, just happy that there's progress on the pitch from Stein. Okay, you could be happy and you could be angry or upset about what's happened on the pitch now and the results, but it's like Thomas said, it's a huge improvement from Stein. Simple as that.
Pierre, agreed?
Yeah, it's improvement, but I still want a different coach. I don't dislike Van Schip. He's been doing his very best, and the players are definitely more confident under him. But tactically, it just doesn't feel right yet.
Knudsen is the man. I'm telling you, he is the man for it.
Unless he gets snatched up, just like with Gallardo earlier this week.
Knudsen is the man. It should have been this winter when their season's ended. It ends in like 3 games. They have a cup final going. It would have been this winter to do it, but
it would have been perfect.
We know it's not going to happen, right? Because...
Okay, if I may add, how did I undergo the whole time?
Go ahead.
There's one word, and it's relief. And I said it before. Our team looks like very bad Ajax, but at least it's Ajax, right? Not the thing we were seeing before, but because that was not Ajax for sure.
Yeah. Going to nickname, he's saying John van Schip threw the tactics overboard. Basically what you said, Pierre, as well. Then we're going to Kevster. Always nice to have a PSV fan just coming to show his support. Are you guys confident for the 5th go-ahead, giving a good fight? And also to that one, he's saying Almere out away is always tough. Yeah, keep laughing, man. Keep laughing. We'll come back to you soon.
They waited so many years for that. Let them have it.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Ray is saying Alex Cruz comments. We'll come to that, Ray. So just hold a little bit longer. We'll do that later in the show. We have somebody from Iceland. Is Christian Linssen good? Icelander here, researching our prospects. What do you guys think? Are you guys happy with Linssen?
I like him.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not that much of a fan. I don't think he's bad, not by any means, and I do think he'll be a starter for Iceland at some point.
Pierre, what's going on, man? You're very critical tonight. What's going on?
Yeah, I just still don't like the way we play. It just doesn't look good. But my singular problem with Linssen is that he's the man that moves, and I like the fact that he is moving because nobody else is. But that's not really what makes a good player for me. I feel like movement should be implemented by the coach. I feel like everyone should be moving. That's the bare minimum, and it's not what I expect. I do think he's an addition still for now, but I don't think I would start him myself.
Do you think he has a lot of, because he's still young, right? Do you think there's much more growth in him in terms of potential?
He will definitely still grow, but I also still believe that Missouri is better, and I think he'll basically grow past him at some point.
If he signs.
If he ever plays for Ajax 1, right?
But even if he doesn't, then I'm hoping Idumbo does. And I don't dislike Linssen. Like, he's been doing well, and I don't want to criticize him too much. But I also see a little bit of a combination of Klaassen and Donny, and I don't really think that's what we need right now. I'd like a more creative player as a 10. That's just my personal opinion. That's what I like.
But don't you think, I'm giving away a little bit of discussion for later on, but look, one of the things we spoke about after the game with Almere City, we had Ajax, and Ajax said, listen, if you look at the front three, we have a problem, because basically all of them, they want the ball at their feet, right? So we have, no, but seriously, we have Bergwijn, we have Brobbey, we have Berghuis, the way we've been playing recently. If you have a creative 10, the one that you want, basically he wants the ball at his feet as well. So what will happen then? At least Linssen is somebody that runs into the spaces, creates room for others. He's a one-touch, can play one-touch. You understand what I mean? He sacrifices also.
I understand, but let me give a simple example for now. Let's say Linson is replaced by Berghuis, right?
Okay.
And Berghuis is a bit more of a creative 10. Then on the right wing, we'd have to play Forbes. And Forbes is also someone that can make runs. So
you're
then
giving
you
away
still
a
have the
little
movement.
bit. All right.
Now, it's not much about my formation because I actually have a quite
something
different
else.
formation. But it's just a simple example that I like Linson. He's been doing well and he doesn't deserve much criticism. But I also don't think he's like the best player ever. And I don't think he'll be a starter in a good Ajax.
All right, you're just being a
But
critical Ajax fan.
he has all the potential to be a important rotation player for us, like a player who has to play a certain role in a game, in a specific scenario. I love his involvement for sure, and he seems like a very positive player on the pitch, willing to do stuff. And this is a very low bar, but this is something many of our current players miss. So this is why I believe he's gained so much praise from Ajax fans, as far as I can see, and this is understandable, obviously, I guess, because the desire is the very first thing the fans notice and appreciate, and he most certainly has this. However, against Almere, I thought I had some hopes with him being so mobile, like Per said, and willing to be involved. I hope that him playing a bit deeper would benefit the team, but I didn't think it worked out.
Yeah, it's something we really will discuss when we tune up look up the 11, because especially the midfield, for me, it's been a discussion for weeks now. And what Van het Schip did, I feel it was a huge risk. I don't know what other flavors he had, but also pushing Linson back, and putting Mikototse as a 10, that was a huge risk. And we know Taylor being like a controlling midfielder is not his best position. That's why I also asked the question, do you feel like Van het Schip is trying to reinvent the wheel? Because we already saw this many times with Taylor. He's much better going up front, being a much more closer to the attack. So, yeah, anyways, let me go to the comments just quickly. Or Luke, did you want to say something about Vincent, or? No?
Nope.
All right.
Nope.
Brian is saying, we just have to wait until the winter break, guys. This is just not it. So this is quality issue, basically. Maybe experience as well. Something that Van het Schip...
Maybe a coaching issue.
Maybe a coaching issue. All right. The Vagabond is saying, I'm not surprised that Rensch played well in the midfield. It's kind of his original position. Okay. Ajax Magnus is reacting to Knudsen, who won the league with Bodo Glimt. Now it's the perfect time to get him. I think everybody...
I want him so bad. I want him as the coach. I wanted him for so long, and it's just frustrating that you hear that Mislintat wanted him, and now Mislintat's gone, and we probably won't get him.
Yeah.
It's difficult because their season is hard. It starts in the middle of ours, and ours starts in the middle of theirs. So it's like, unless he left them halfway through a season, or he joined halfway through our season, it doesn't work out, does it? But
yeah, exactly.
You can hope, right?
But then again, we don't have a coach for next season yet, and he's almost free.
Well, you guys remember the first interview that Van het Schip gave? It's kind of a possibility, depending on how he performs, that he might be a coach next season as well.
Well,
I mean,
with Knudsen, it's the issue is the way his league works is it's always going to be a problem for him, right? Because a manager like that would want to take over from the very start of a season somewhere. So I guess it's a very likely that he's going to have a half a year vacation. And then start over, possibly with Ajax. Why not? I guess with what he's done, he deserves a bit of time off. So, yeah, possibility, I guess.
Sorry, not this one. AP is saying, what do you guys think about a possible transfer from Spirtsion to Juventus? Ajax was quite interested in him. That's true. Last summer, I still hope he will come one day to Amsterdam. I think that ship has sailed, to be honest. Do you guys have another opinion about this?
I won't comment on it.
I've been quite vocal about this, so I don't really mind saying something about it. But I just still don't feel like we could afford at that time to just basically pay a Russian club, I think 10 to 15 million, when there's so many rules about basically sending money to Russia. I'm not even sure if it was actually possible.
Yeah, and I mean, coming from Poland, I don't want Ajax to have any business with with Russia at all. But that's me and my personal opinion. Yeah, I guess we are a bit financially strapped, right? So I'm not sure about that. And if right now Juventus is interested in a player like that, then yeah, let's move on.
Then again, lastly, one more thing. I also heard that the club owner said that he didn't want to sell to Ajax anyway because he didn't think we were a big enough club. No clue why. He said AC Milan or something would be fine.
Yeah, I think he said that honestly because it didn't go through at the end, so he's a little bit bitter about it. That's my feeling. But yeah,
could be true.
Yeah, that's what I think. Also,
they're not big enough club to be mentioned here. So yeah, let him have it. But
panels, what do you guys think? Cruz taking a part in the book, which is about the downfall of Ajax, and he says it's a Ponzi scheme, buying forward left back, no right wing. I think it's 100% brain dead. We will touch upon Alex Cruz in his comments later on the show. We have a couple of questions about that already.
The build-up, man.
Patience. We will come to that later, definitely. And Nickname is saying just quickly on the coaching, Momo also has an interesting coach. He plays like Denise from Fluminense, only team in Europe as I know. I'm not familiar with that coach. Pierre, do you know?
No, I know the coach. He plays like the Fluminense coach, like he's saying. But it basically means you just make everyone run to the ball. It's like the football you played when you were a kid and you all ran towards the ball. Well, basically, he's trying to make the field as small as possible.
Is it comparable with? I know it's years ago, but when we played Salzburg, you remember that game? And we lost 3-0.
No, I don't think so. Salzburg just played a high press, right? It was when Schmid.
But extreme high press.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of maybe is, but I feel like he's just trying to make the field really, really small, and it's really hard to explain without you visually seeing it.
Okay.
But let's just imagine like all the players, like your entire team, it just groups together more the same formation, but just smaller, and you just only pick part of the pitch to play in.
Okay.
And it's been so confusing. It's been combination football, and it's been fantastic to watch. The Fluminense coach, I forgot his name. He's gotten so much praise for it. But I don't think we could play it, to be honest.
All right. Okay, moving forward. Next subject, of course, because you guys all have an idea about what the starting 11 should be. Everybody can react. Who wants to go first? Let me put it that way. Who wants to go first? Who's the daredevil that wants to show his starting 11?
Should be.
Thomas?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. So again, just for everybody to know, so this is starting 11 from Thomas, the way he wants to play, and also taking into account everybody is fit. So pulling this up. I hope everybody can see it a little bit. So your formation, do you want to elaborate?
I guess this is pretty regular Ajax stuff in that department, so not much to explain here. But I believe many people are scratching their heads or shouting at the screen, seeing the Bergwijns and the Berghaus names. And my idea here is that I just felt like I want to approach this in a bit of a realistic way of seeing stuff. And it seems that both Bergwijn and Berghaus have such a strong position in the team that they absolutely have to play. And if they have to play, the least harm they can do, I believe that at those two positions. So that was my approach here, especially with Berghaus, because I absolutely hate him anywhere deeper than 10, because he's so reckless and he kickstarts so many counters. Yeah, we all remember classical goals we conceded because of him and so on. I appreciate him, and I think he's a fine player, but I don't like him anywhere deeper than 10. When it comes to the wing, yeah, it's. I feel like we just can't afford not to play Fobbs there. It's just simple as that. And the only thing that remains an option here is a 10 for Berghaus in that scenario. So there's that. And when it comes to Bergwijn, yeah, that's the only way he could play the left wing. I would love him to be benched actually. And if I was to get rid of the presumption that those two guys have to play and I have to make the least harm that's possible, I would play Hots on the left wing.
The only thing I have, right? I mean, we've seen Bergwijn play, and almost with all the coaches we've had. So we're talking about like this season, Stijn, Maduro, Van het Schip. Eventually, there are games he comes to the number 10 position. So what will happen in your formation is that we will have Bergwijn and Berghuis as a 10. Is that like a match? Does this blend together, in your opinion?
Well, they're very different players, obviously, and Bergwijn is more dynamic, right, and more reckless, I would say. Less creative for sure, with less vision, but more willing to go into duels and actually win some of them. I'm sure Jadarenko very much agrees with me about Bergwijn winning any duels. Anyways, yeah, I think it could work because Berghaus is an intelligent player and he could make 1-2s work. Actually, under his first season at Ajax, he was playing 10 and he had some tremendous games actually there. He knew when to run into the box and to put the ball into the net. Did very much what Klaassen did.
Yeah, but the interesting stuff is, I remember what you're saying not last year, but the year that he was playing with Den Haag. I remember the Sporting game. It was in Portugal. He was a 10. He was playing very well. He scored the first Champions League goal for Ajax as a player. I believe the thing that he said once in an interview as well, but he was referring to Kudus, but you saw it also with Anthony. He needs a player like that on the right side. He needs, because then he can play a little bit from the right angle of the pitch, but he needs somebody that's, let's say, fast, has speed, is technical, so he can rotate, do a combo with him, etc. If you don't have that on his own, Berghuis cannot do much on a high level, in my opinion. He's a little bit of a limited player.
No argument here.
Right?
We can say all we want about him, but he's not a physical player in any meaning of this word. That's for sure. And because of that, I believe that the number 10 position for him is the one that could highlight his strengths and hide his weaknesses a bit.
Right.
So yeah.
All right, let me go with Luke. Pierre, yours is last, man, this time. So I hope you're okay with it. Let me go with Luke first. Luke, this is yours. A little bit different. Okay, let me just start with the following. I'm very surprised by your starting 11, and I'll ask you a few questions right from the bat.
Sure.
Why do you have Linssen as a retracted midfielder, Akpom as a 10, and Mikkeltotse on the right wing? Those are the questions that I have.
So, for me, Linssen and Vos, they bring the youth, the hunger, okay, and the know-how to keep the ball. We were talking about Linssen likes to play one touch, wants to move the ball, etc. For me, it wouldn't be as square as this. It would be, okay, Vos is a little bit deeper, maybe Linssen can push up a little bit more slightly, and Akpom plays as a 10 and trying to score the goals like he did at the weekend, playing to Brobbey, making those runs beyond the line. Mikkeltotse, the thing is, like Ajax said, you can't have Berghuis playing, making runs off. He's not the type of player. Like you said, he's limited. Okay. Mikkeltotse, I think he looked lost as a 10. He's definitely an attacker rather than a midfielder. So I feel like he would make those attacking instinct runs that he knows how to do off of Brobbey if Akpom hasn't. For example, okay, so we've seen I've seen Bergwijn, some of his better moments towards the start of last season mainly is when he played the ball to Brobbey's feet. He would hold it, he would get into the box, he would have a shot, right? If I feel like he could do that, and if Mikkeltotse could do that also, at times where Akpom wasn't doing it, then it could be a nice free flowing thing. But the midfield.
So in your formation, just quickly, like we're talking about Mikototso, but I believe it's the same for Bergwijn. We play a little bit more narrow, closer to Brobbey as a second striker, a little bit coming in. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, all four of them can. Even if they rotated, if Akpom moved out wide while Bergwijn played off him, it's the kind of mix and match thing. Brobbey held the ball up for a lot of the weekend, but no one was really hot to get onto the pass laid off. It worked with both the goals. Tahirovic was able to put one top corner. Akpom scored with it with his chance, and I feel like if Bergwijn would come inside, and then Mikotadze would come into the inside, rather than have Berghaus who wants to pull at his feet and cut inside and play these passes, then I think it would work. The reason why I haven't got Berghaus in there is, like you said, he's limited. I think when you have Brobbey, you can't have a creative 10. You need someone that's going to score the goals from 10, essentially, while Brobbey does the dirty work and hold the ball up. If you had someone like, I don't know, Huntelaar, for example, as that kind of profile up top, you can have a creative 10 because they're going to be making runs, looking to get on the last man, make runs in behind and score.
The only thing I have, the only thing for me, right? It's just my opinion, of course. It's just one opinion, so it's not important. I'm just the host, as everybody knows. But
give me the opinion.
For me, so attacking because, I mean, I'm only seeing two defenders, to be honest. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. But in my defense, Guy has been really, really good. Better, actually, not really, really good. Better defensively. Okay, when the confidence has come in and he's, there's a manager that cares about the player. So I think Pierre's got a face like that. He's been better. Yeah.
Pierre doesn't agree. Pierre doesn't.
He's not been better at all. What do you mean?
Better.
Have you seen the first goal Almere scored?
Fine, but he did.
But was it his fault?
What, for Guy?
Yes. The first goal they scored. Yeah, Almere.
He looked very. How do you call it in a nice word? What's a nice word for being
headless? Like a headless chicken. That's how he looked.
But I was trying to be nicer than that, but no, I think he made two mistakes. He was running at the same time as Bergwijn to the same player, and then after that, just slides, to the player, and the player can just, circumvent him and the goalkeeper and just score. So he looks a little bit, like a headless chicken.
I agree that he's been improving. He's definitely been.
And that's my point.
For me,
the only reason.
Just quickly, Guy made an impression on me when we played Brighton, and he was guarding
Mitoma.
He did a pretty decent job there. So to be very honest with you, I was surprised. Come on, Pierre. Pierre, you have to give people compliments sometimes. Come on.
The point is when it comes to my formation, it's very much on the ball. I look at everything on the ball. If you can't be reactive, you have to be proactive. And that's how I've looked at everything in life when it comes to football. So it's Hlinson will be on the ball, looking to play one-touch passes, keep the ball, and I know he will do everything unselfishly. For me, sometimes Berghaus, like Thomas said, playing deeper, he's reckless. But at the same time, I feel like he does a lot of things for himself. Sometimes he wants to play that pass, or he wants to play a big switch so it looks good. And that's just what I see from some of the matches. I think Voss will be better eventually, once he's more confident receiving the ball between the lines, like Tahirovic sometimes. But I think we need to have, I think hunger between those two to be on the ball and retain the ball, I think would be good. But this is just obviously my opinion. So,
okay, may I have a question regarding Mikotadze here? So I would assume you would see him in a like a similar role to what Suarez played at Ajax, right? As
in just being a bit more central.
Well, basically playing on the right wing on paper, right? But basically
free roaming it and just moving around.
And being, I guess we all want to see this there, right? And the comparisons for between the two, like Mikotadze being a bit Suarez-esque. Yeah, I can see it.
But what should be, because look, I'm looking at your formation. I didn't get to pairs yet, but just a question before I go to pairs formation. What should be leading here? Should we have this coach has a vision, tactics, and he has to pick the players that fit those tactics? Or are we just like playing puzzle game and just like, okay, he's good, we'll play him there. If he does this, then he becomes good. We'll do the same with the other player. I feel like sometimes we're trying to fit players in, but we know they don't really fit that position. You understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think he needs to. I think he's trying to fit the players into a tactic and try to play to the strength, which isn't many. There's not a lot of strength, let's be real. But, you know, one of them is playing to Bobby's feet, and he's been trying to do that. And for the last 2 goals of the weekend, it worked. But it only worked at the end of the game when Akpom came on. It didn't work for the rest of it. So
basically what you're saying is Bobby is good at what he does, but then
Absolutely.
you have to put somebody next to him that finish those chances.
Yeah, whether it comes from Akpom from the 10, or if you have to play Berghaus as a 10, then it has to come from the wide players. But I think you have to have a balance. It can't always be one and become predictable, right?
Okay.
Has to be one and then the other, and then, you know, keep rotating it.
Well, let's move to Per.
I'll be crucified in the comments again.
Yeah, man. He wants to explain his formation. So everybody, drum rolls. Here we go.
Oh, I'm worried. I'm gonna get
No,
scolded.
it's fine. Per's formation. He even drew lines for us this time. So, Per.
Yeah, I've made the craziest formation,
Okay.
but I can explain.
Okay.
First of all, if we know Van Schip, he likes to play either 5 at the back or 3 at the back. And I want it to be something that he understands and he knows how to work with the players on.
Okay.
And I don't believe that if we play 4-3-3 that he actually really knows what to do. It hasn't been looking that good when we played 4-3-3. So I started with the defense, and I just tried to throw in as many center backs as possible because we can't defend. No, I'm obviously kidding. I do think Soetelo and Hato should always play. And I really like Kaplan. I think he's in potential a fantastic center back. And I do think if you're going to play a 3 at the back, long term, you want to play with Kaplan as well. He's also able to play a little more central because he's got quite a good weak foot. You also could shift and make Guy play right back and make Hato play left back. So you'd end up with a 4-3-3 anyway. Then the midfield, we've got Van der Bomen, since he's been spectacular and then got injured. I think that makes sense to everyone. The next to him, I played Rensch because we're just struggling. We're having Tahirovic as an option. We're having Vos as an option. But none of them looked good enough defensively. So I'd like to see Rensch there a couple more times. It also seemed like something Van Schip was trying already. So I do think he'll stick with that anyway. I really, really didn't want to play Berghaus, but I truly believe he'll have to play. So that's also why I believe Guy is the better option, because he can make the runs past Berghaus, and that would make him look a lot better. I played Miko Tats as well because I think long term, I think he'll be one of our best players. I've seen him play at Mets like a lot, and he scores everything. But he needs to play as a Suarez type striker. So I just put him as close to Robbie as possible, because I also don't believe we can actually bench Robbie.
Okay.
He's been our best player lately. Then we still have to play Bergwijn. So you basically put him left mid because it's the only position. That's the only thing I can't really explain. You might as well play Sosa there or Forbes there, but I think Forbes would actually probably be the best option. It would also give Mika Tatsen more options. But you just have to field Bergwijn. I don't think he's going to bench him ever.
But don't you think, guys, because I'm looking at all your formation, right? And we touched upon this before. Don't you think at some point we have to make a decision? We have to choose. We cannot play all the experienced players. We cannot play en Bergwijn and Berghuis, right? Is there a possibility that one of them, okay, probably it's not going to be Bergwijn because he's the captain, but at some point, I mean,
there has to be balance. There has to be balance. You can't, and for example, it's a bit different if Bergwijn wants to get to the back post and score goals like Salah or Mane would back for Liverpool when Mane was there, and Berghaus is cutting in and crossing the ball to the back stick, and there's and they have that dynamic, but that's not. It doesn't. They both want the ball at their feet. They both want to keep it. They both want to come inside and do all sorts, and there's not enough movement, is there?
Yeah.
Not for Bobby to hold the ball. So
yeah, let me ask all three of you a question. So if you have Sosa on the left and you have Guy on the right, both of them, one of their strengths are crosses, right? Who's the best player in our squad to finish those crosses?
I don't want to say it, but it's Akpom.
Okay, but he's not playing. Okay, he's playing at Luke's formation. Let me get Luke's formation. Yeah, so he's playing at Luke's formation, but he's not playing with Pierre's formation, and he's not playing with Thomas, right?
Right.
No. Okay.
But why not? It's a serious question. He's scored 4 goals.
I'm asking.
He's been in good form. Scored a few goals. No.
I mean, he scored the goals. He did very well. I'm also not playing Sosa in my formation, so that explains it a little bit. Like Bergwijn's not going to cross it anyway,
Yeah.
and I'm playing Guy just to help Berghuis.
True.
But then
you
again,
still have Guy. You still have Guy though.
Yeah, but I'm playing him to help Berghuis because he needs someone to make the run, just so he can play it to the right or cut inside. But he's not dangerous when he's on his own because he's too predictable. Because then he can only cut inside.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to me, and well, I've only seen Akpom score goals, which are he was nicely positioned, right? He did the right thing and so on. But all in all, football-wise, strictly, he never really impressed me so far. So I just need to see more from him. I like the guy. I wish him all the best, and I think he should get a fair shot at the first team. But so far, I just haven't seen enough. And also, yeah, you rightfully mentioned that we have some decent crossers at the in the fullback positions. Still, you remember one of the goals, actually 2 goals at least against Utrecht with Sosa crossing the balls, but you don't have to convert the cross with a header. The cross can go lower, right?
I didn't say who's the best header. I said who's the best finisher. That's what I said.
Okay. In that case, yeah, still maybe Akpom possibly because he seems to have the
reaction.
Sounds terrible, but the ball magnet, right? So the ball looks for him, and
he's also got stone feet, so it just bounces straight off them into the goal.
yeah.
But
whatever works
really
at this point,
though.
right?
All right. I think this is
His
enough
reaction
for the formation. Or do you guys want to add something to what we've been discussing now, quickly? I'll go through the comments and then we'll go to the final.
Someone's getting crucified.
Of course.
Someone's about to get crucified in the comments, and one of us.
No, we're a nice bunch.
That's fine.
No
that's
way.
fine. Everybody has their opinion. Oh, it's
my formation was terrible, but I still think Van
But it had the
lines
lines
that way.
so it was great.
All right, let me go.
The lines were fantastic. You got to give me that.
Yeah, true.
Let me go all the way back. We have so many reactions. Let me pick a couple. Okay, so we have a remark here. I think Berghuis is a type of player Pep would like. Interesting. Roy is saying, "Hey guys, very late to the party, but I'll catch up with the video after." No, I didn't comment on the last question yet.
But you mentioned it already in the very beginning.
That's true. That's true. Also is saying, and he's looking at all your formations, and he's saying, "Oh my God, we just have the most unbalanced team in the world." So it doesn't really, comfort Lolsorkont what he saw from you guys. Brian Shafiq is saying, Ramai, Sosa, Hato, Soutalo, Rensch, Van de Bomen, Berghuis, Linson, Forbes, Akpom, Marta. Nobody had Marta, by the way. Interesting.
Wait, did he use Sosa and Marta? Hold up.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but
can we bring it up again? So this is what he had.
What?
Sosa.
But Marta on the right wing, actually, right?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know, to be honest.
But we all had Ramai, right? And
yeah, exactly. We agree about something.
Christian is saying, I would go with Ramai, Rensch, Soutalo, Hato, Sosa, Van de Bomen, Vos, Akpom, Forbes, Brobbey, Bergwijn. Are these 11? 1, 2, 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 11. Okay, good.
Just name 12.
An interesting remark by Jerry here. No trust in Mansverk.
Not seeing too much, though, is it? Not seeing too much of it. Been injured.
Yeah, that's lack of knowledge. He played 45 minutes for Ajax, and with all due respect to his former team, I never bothered. Right?
Yeah,
I've seen him play at Molde before. I know Feyenoord was interested, and I've watched him a couple of games, and he's not bad by any means. He's got pretty good technique and pretty good ball handling, but he's a little slow. His
Couldn't play
handling's a
as a
little
6.
slow. He should be a 6. He should be a
Mm.
6, and I think defensively he might even be the best one. But
Do you rate him?
his reactions need to be slightly faster.
Pierre, do
He
you
needs to
rate
play the
him
ball
higher
faster.
than? Do you rate him higher than Tahirovic?
No, I don't. I think Tahirovic will, in the future, become one of Ajax's best players, and I'll keep saying that because I think for someone that tall, he's incredibly mobile, but he definitely still needs to improve. Like that sliding at the last minute was ridiculous, but up until that, he did great.
I'm
Okay.
happy to see someone agree with me on that. Appreciate you.
Roy is saying on the question that I had, Mikitots is smart enough to profit from those crosses, so not only Akpom.
From the low ones, yes.
Brian is saying Akpom is like Haller; he would do a good job there. And he was referring
Don't
to
disrespect
Martin as
Haller
well.
like that.
Yeah, he was saying Mart is actually a right winger in his formation. So he was not a left back like we saw him play recently. Last comment I have here quickly is from Losser Kont. How about the 4-4-2 this way? Wamai, Sosa, Hato, Sutalo, Guy, Mansverk, Vos, Taylor, and then Berghuis, Brobbey, Forbes.
Forbes as a striker?
Yeah, 4-4-2.
No, Brobbey? What?
Yes, Brobbey, but I hate
He's
it.
playing
That's
Wait, what? I'm sorry. It didn't even comprehend in my head. Like 4-4-2 is just not. It's not acceptable. I just.
Okay,
my
out of the
brain
question,
can't
guys.
compute
Out of
it.
the question.
no,
guys,
it also does Taylor there, right? So
That's another
Yeah,
we
also
didn't
my
even
brain can't
touch upon
compute
Taylor.
that either.
We didn't even touch upon Taylor, but nobody asked about Taylor, so we're not going to talk about Taylor now. Maybe
yeah, let's keep it that way.
Everybody knows why Taylor isn't playing. He's just been so bad. Every game it's getting worse. It's like Berghuis, but we can actually bench him.
But you guys keep saying that. We had a tweet earlier this week about Taylor, right? Just to test the waters, how fans look at him. And we asked 3 questions. Is he overly criticized? That's the first question. Second of all, how much potential does he have? And third of all, what's his best position? Because for me personally, I mean, you can maybe have an opinion about it, but is there like one position that he really excels at on the midfield?
Nope.
Well, I
All
would
I
see
remember-
if you were to play him, I would see him as a 10, like a Klasenesque 10 maybe, because he has those iron lungs and he could be useful in pressing and so on.
Does he has those iron lungs? Because
I believe so.
He never tracks back.
But when he runs, and he runs all game long.
Yeah, but it's selective because he always runs when he has to go up front, when he has to go attacking. But once.
So it only makes my opinion here more valid, right? To keep him as a 10 and use the shovel to shove it up his head to go to the pressing and to not to be so depressing.
But isn't his best attributes as a player is that he's pretty okay, decent with both feet, but also giving a through pass. He's known for that. He's done that a couple of times, right, Pierre? You're doubting.
Yeah, but shouldn't he play on the 10 then anyway?
Yeah, and also he's a decent
that's what I'm saying.
He's a decent shot, and against Almere, he hit the post and so on. He is capable of getting the chances. He very very often misses them, but he has the idea where to go.
And on top of that, I feel he has a connection with Brobbey as well.
Yeah, right? I guess so.
You can argue that he's best if he plays a little bit with Brobbey, closer to Brobbey.
So again, 10 arguments, right?
Yeah. All right.
I used to really like him at young Ajax, and I liked him the first few weeks under Ten Hag, but it just feels like he refuses to run back at times, and there's nothing more frustrating than seeing Taylor hold back when he's running, when we're getting counter attacked. It's just very annoying.
He does this really annoying thing that when he plays as an 8, he really wants to come wide where the left back should be and receive the ball, but then do nothing with it. He then gives it back to Hato and then runs away, and it's really annoying. He doesn't do anything with it. So
I feel like they tried to give him the same role as Gravenberch had a couple of years ago. To help with the build-up. Why are you laughing, Pierre? I'm serious.
No, and then not you. I'm laughing at the comments. Roy
At
is
the
typing
comments.
something, and he said that Taylor was under criticized, and therefore I think he's compromising or
Who's saying
not
that?
compromising. Roy,
You mean this one?
no. Lower about Taylor. Is it lower? I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's best
Taylor
person
is
in the bench, right?
You're referring to this one.
This one.
This is a little bit too harsh, even for Roy. Come on, Roy. What's
This
going
is
on?
after saying that Taylor was under criticized. So.
All right. Listen. Let me go through the comments, and then let's touch upon the last subject about Alex Cruz quickly. And I have also a last question, as you guys know, so I'll ask that as well. Ajax Magnus is saying Taylor is Dutch McTominay. Okay, that's a little bit harsh, to be honest. Although, is he? I don't know. I don't think he's the same type of player. Okay, Dutch
They
is
both
saying-
have bright hair, right?
Taylor is a number 10. Dutch is saying, and 8 goals in the league last year. Technical player and good passer. Is he? Is he a good passer? I feel like his short passing is reasonable, but he doesn't have a long pass, in my
He has
opinion.
some memorable assists. I won't give you the
Usually he's good. Again, usually in my opinion, he's good when he comes near the box of the opponent and he can give a through pass. That's his strength, right?
He's the reason Robbie looks good. His passes are so bad, so high, but Robbie just somehow managed to keep hold of them. And then that makes him look very good. But the pass from time to time has been like knee high. It's been ridiculous. I don't know what's happened lately. He used to be very good at this, especially his connection with Robbie, but it's been looking terrible lately.
Okay. Dutch is also saying when are Ajax going to get desperate and buy Bas Dost? Okay, we can skip this one, to be honest. Mike, big up to you as well. Thank you for joining.
Cheers.
Brian is saying, this is interesting. I like Taylor and Young Oranje. He's pretty good. It's true, right?
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah. And then, here we go. I think Taylor can play in the 10, so that's basically what we all think, more or less. And let me see. Murder Inc. is saying, should I sign a new number 8? Juan, your question. No, that's not my question. I don't know if that's it's not my question, but let me ask you guys something. Let me turn this question around a little bit. I think I asked it last time as well. Pierre, what would be your number 1 signing if you could sign somebody in terms of role or position for Ajax in January?
But okay, well,
One.
I think
One
it has
signing.
to be a 6.
A 6. All right. Luke, same, right?
Yeah, 6.
Thomas?
Yeah, I guess we talked about this already.
Yeah. I asked this question last time as well.
It's fine. I'm not angry at you about repeating stuff. Yeah, I agree that I like a deep playmaker, right?
Yeah. Another question from Christian. He's saying kind of off topic at the moment, but Bos complained last week about the young teams, the youth teams under 23s, not being able to put their dispensation players. So, yeah, not the exempt players, basically. Players that are injured and come back and they can play at young Ajax. Like, for instance, in his case, it was, which player was that again? From Bos, from PSV. Which player did he want to play in the young PSV?
I missed that, but he had plenty of winger injuries lately, so maybe.
Yeah, so basically the question is, do you guys agree with, like, let's take Mikototso, for instance. So should there be a ruling in which players that are older than 23, this is basically what they're saying, like if there's an exemption rule, there be an exemption rule for players to play at young Ajax to get some rhythm? What do you guys feel about that? Because the teams in the championship, the Keukenkampioen-divisie, basically are complaining about that. That's not fair. How do you guys see that?
Injuries only, fitness only. I think that you should only be able to use players to build match fitness if they come back from injury. There's no point Mikotadze going there, for example, going to Young for him to get some rhythm, for him to not to play with those players anyway, and to play with different amount of players. It doesn't make sense. So for me, only for players that have been injured, like Kaplan, when he comes back, if he was a first team player, got injured, he could use the young to get his match.
But we should make a distinction between. Look, Kaplan is still young, right? So every player.
Yeah, but it was an example.
Under 23 is fine, but like Mikutotsa is 23, I think.
But
I think so. I'm a little confused.
Tell me.
No, 23. Okay.
Tell me, Pierre, what you confused about?
I think he's 22.
Mikotadze is 23.
Is he?
Yes, he is. I have his page displayed right now.
So he turned 23 like a week ago, or what?
Maybe recently, it could be, but I think
October 31st. October the 31st.
2 weeks ago. So I think he's still eligible because he was 22 this year, right? So he should still be eligible anyway.
I don't know if they look at it that way. I have no idea. But okay, fine. That's fine.
Even besides that, I would love that because it would benefit Ajax. But I think the idea is ridiculous because it just doesn't make any sense to the Keukenkampioen-divisie teams that we could just show up with, I don't know, let's say Berghuis if he was injured. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. The idea is ridiculous.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, how would you clearly define that the player is gaining match fitness right now? How is there a way to define how does it work? So I would love this to happen actually because this would benefit us. Obviously, this is only the Ajax point of view. I feel like
you can easily come up with a ruling about that. You can say if a player has not played because of injury, right? So he's not in the squad selection. Let's put it that way. And he's been injured for more than a month. I'm just throwing up something here. He's eligible to play at the young teams for
that would work.
An amount of 2 games or 3 games max to gain rhythm or something like that.
In England,
it still wouldn't work. It's still ridiculous because it still means that team, let's say Telstar, could just randomly play against Berghuis one day. Why?
I understand what you're saying. I'm just throwing up a situation, but you are just as much as it would benefit Ajax, you think it's unfair as a whole.
I'd love it, of course, because it would help our players. But the idea is just ridiculous. I don't know why Bols would say anything like that. We've all seen, I think, Kudus play after he was injured for young Ajax. It's been the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Like, the players, they're not even close to his level. It just seems unfair.
It makes sense. It's a difficult situation because of the fact that Young are in that division. When it comes to England, all of the like Arsenal, etc., they have their under-21s teams in the under-21s leagues, so they have a ruling where they can move players down. Fabio Vieira and Reece Nelson recently played against Reading in one of the trophies that lower league teams can play in, and they started because they weren't getting enough match time or they had a knock or something with the first team. I think whilst it would be a good idea, it's what I'm used to in this country. Getting match fitness of a player, it would obviously be unfair.
But the only difference is the under-21s at Arsenal, they don't play against championship teams.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's unfair to the other teams in the division.
True.
In the Netherlands to then have one day Bergwijn gets to play, scores 6 goals. And that team gets relegated at the end if that happens. You know what I mean? So, no, I agree. I understand.
Yeah, I mean, the Keukenkampioen-divisie teams, they can't get relegated, but they can promote. So, let's say, for example, 5 of our players were injured and they're all back at the same time. We'll just line up with a ridiculous team against, let's say, Excelsior, and they just are not Excelsior. They're not playing in the Keukenkampioen-divisie. Let's say Cambuur, right? And we'll just line up against them with Bergwijn and Berghuis and Sutalo, because why not?
Understood. Okay, this is clear. Dutch is adding to this. It will be impossible to enforce as fitness would be subjective, dependent on the medical professionals. Yeah, you will get these kind of gray areas as well, right? Guys, about Alex Cruz, finally, towards the end of the video. So there is this book that has been released, written by a journalist that basically came up with a reconstruction of what has happened with Ajax in recent years and how we got basically to this situation. So he had a lot of interviews as well, and Alex Cruz had something to say about this summer, and he didn't really hold back. He basically said very bad things about Sven. He's a scammer, basically. And yeah, I mean, it was already put it in the comments. The way he did his transfers, like signing 4 left backs, what he said, no right winger. You know, if it was up to him, he would have intervened. I'm putting it nicely, but he said other words. What do you guys think of his comments in general? Let me start with you, Thomas.
I think it was reckless because if you say such things, I believe you might affect the market worth of the players you got that way, and also, yeah, I guess this is something that should be dealt with internally, not publicly. This is the impression I got, and also, you know, I feel like many of us had a very strong need to see like a savior in Cruz, like the this is the guy who's going to be reasonable, who's going to make things logical, and so on and so on, and that kind of attitude. Yeah, it's just one interview. I also remember, so I wouldn't draw too much conclusions from this. Still, I was a bit surprised and actually getting the vibes of some other loudly shouting people, and this is not something we need at the club right now, I believe. So I was a little taken aback by this. And regardless of if I agree or not with the argument that we signed 4 left backs, did we actually? By the way, that's another story. So yeah, I was a bit taken aback. I guess would be the word here. I always expected someone doing reasonable job, a good job, and being focused on getting stuff actually done and not shouting out. Yeah, I guess there's a huge reason why Chris was appointed, as that is, how do we say it? Shameless FC, but still, they got to a point where we have to respect their clearly sports quality, right? And their stature, and he was an integral part of getting there. Still, I'm a bit surprised, a little shocked, to be honest, and I'm not too happy about it. Again, not drawing too much conclusions from here. I know it's just one interview and so on, but I would rather have him not say something like that.
Okay, Luke, same.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's ridiculous. He hasn't even, properly started the job either. He like Thomas said, you ruin the confidence of the players, and also imagine being one of the players and hearing, oh well, he's just a swindler. It's ridiculous, and absolutely when you're trying to fix the morale in the club, you're then saying something else to them that could potentially bring them down again. It's absolutely ridiculous. And Mislintat also can't be blamed for what the results on the pitch and how it turned out with Stein as well. So drawing conclusions with that, but it sounds like he's just trying to shift the blame on something else, and they can be like, oh, okay, let's start from new now, and oh no, we've got all these left backs and things like that left here. We're in a pit, and it's a big job to get out of it. When it's not fair on Mislintat, to be honest. In my opinion.
Yeah, it's weird to me. Quickly, Pierre, before you can go, it's weird to me that he was not around when Sven did his business, right? But he has an opinion. It almost sounds like he's talking from the outside, looking in, just like fans do, right?
Yeah, so Alkmaar is preparing their lawsuit right now, right?
I'm sorry?
So Alkmaar is preparing their lawsuit right now because he was not supposed to do that, right?
Oh, no, I don't know. Let's not talk about AZ for a while,
Yeah.
Pierre, what's your opinion on this one? Same? I believe.
I'll be honest, I think it's about the dumbest thing he could have possibly done. It doesn't make any sense. The timing is terrible. Like, we're trying to slowly build something back up, and he's just saying, okay, it was a terrible transfer window. There's no balance in the team. The players are bad, basically. And we have so many left backs, apparently. Whereas I feel like we have one, maybe two. I mean, I'm assuming he's counting, let's say, Salah Eddin, who has been
The thing
terrible,
is-
so it makes sense that you don't count him.
Yeah.
Then Wijndal, who has been terrible and also been loaned out. Then
And not
Marta,
a,
who's barely a
not
left
initial
back
signing.
anyway. I mean,
True.
Marta's barely a left back anyway. None of those were signings. He bought Sosa, who's a clear left back, and then Avila, who's like, is he a left back? Maybe. I wouldn't count him as a left back, but you could say he is a left back, maybe.
Yeah.
And then I guess Hato.
Take away the meaning of what he said, right? Like whether it's valid, yes or no, for left backs, no right winger, etc. Just park that for a side. We had a short uploaded today by Finney, and Finney also came up with a very interesting argument. He said, like, this is the new general director or CEO that's coming in, and he's basically throwing the players under the bus because he's saying the recruitment was, a mess. That's what he's saying, in other words. And he's coming in. So how do the players have to respond to that? I mean, it's almost like what Stein did, but then
That's
different.
exactly what I wanted to say.
Right?
He's doing the same thing. He's complaining the way Stein did, and it doesn't benefit anyone. And he should be the one making sure that the club benefits, and he isn't doing that. It's so confusing to me.
All right, going through the comments quickly regarding this topic. Let me see. Roy is saying about this very bad. Cruz is unproven as well. He needs to keep quiet and prove himself before having a big mouth in the media. And he has his facts wrong. 4 left backs, and what was he smoking when he said that? Yeah, so he doesn't agree, just like you guys. Brian is saying if Cruz does not step up when he comes in, these things that he said will hurt or hunt him, forever. And and Jerry is saying, look, for me, Van der Sar has the biggest blame in my eyes for everything that's happening. Okay. Quick question. One question from a United Spurs of America. Wow, this is a new one, I believe. Okay. We're trying to be nice because we're still hurt about what happened years ago. But how has Bergwijn been for all of you? My best word would be underwhelming. Is that a nice word to say?
My reply would be, please ban that guy.
Yeah, exactly. What's next? Is he going to talk about Lucas Moura? Like, for crying out loud.
No, but ban, because this is a very mean question, right?
Do you think he's being mean, or do you think it's really?
No, I'm just kidding. Obviously,
you don't know. You don't know.
Yeah. So, yeah, underwhelming. Very underwhelming.
Yeah.
Very, very, very underwhelming.
Yeah, I think this weekend I saw okay things from him at the start of the game, and prior to that, nothing apart from the 5 goals he scored at the start of last season. So underwhelming a lot.
He was being genuine, guys. He was not mocking us. So all right.
I used to like Spurs so much when they had Vertonghen and Alderweireld and Eriksen, and everything just fell off after that.
All right. We have another question from Christian. Quickly squeezing that one in as well. Any comments about the Overmars? Basically the suspension. So 2-year suspension. One is fixed. One is conditional, and 2-year probation. But it's only applicable to the Netherlands, of course. Your opinion about that? I mean, we don't have all the facts, of course. They did their investigation. But Luke, what's your opinion?
So shouldn't have done it. It's a shame. But, you do something then like that, you pay the consequences. It's ridiculous, isn't it? But, it's what it is.
Thomas, what's going on? Why are you...
Well, he's walking outside the Netherlands. Yeah, this will show him. Like, that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, yeah, he should have gotten it and so on, but it doesn't matter in the slightest, I guess.
They shouldn't have allowed him to work if they were investigating him, right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, also, yeah, I guess so. But if the KNVB cannot enforce authority on such stuff outside the Netherlands, then
yeah.
Okay, let me ask a very daring question. And I'm sorry for asking this, but I have to ask this. Hypothetically, let's say the suspension is over, probation is over, everything is over. Would you guys be like, okay, if there's an opportunity for him to come back to Ajax, would you guys be open to it?
No.
No.
No. I want to say this, and I want to say this very, very clear.
Mhm.
Anyone that thinks that it would be okay for him to come back to Ajax has lost their mind. The fact that there are still people working there that have had to deal with this, they should have never had to deal with this in the first place, and they definitely shouldn't have to deal with it again.
Okay.
Well, one sentence.
clear.
Football is not the most important thing, and I believe that even at Ajax, some things should be more important, and this is a case like that, and that's my stance here.
Okay.
Completely agree.
Quickly, I have to just finish this video. Let me see.
One last comment.
Yeah, just quickly on the comments. Exactly. United Spurs, big ups, y'all. I come in peace and newly subbed. All right, we appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, just some friendly banter. Don't feel attacked at all.
Brian is
No,
saying,
definitely
you.
not. Definitely not.
Brian is saying, don't ask. I'm sorry, Brian, but I had to ask this question. I'm sorry. Ajax Muggers is saying, guys, shout out to the women's team for beating PSG in the Champions
Yeah,
League.
great.
They've been
Really good.
fantastic. Actually, I want to name a couple of players just because
Go
no
ahead.
one knows them.
Go ahead.
They've got Leugter, who's the striker. She's been fantastic lately. She scores everything. We would love that at the men's team. There's a defender. She's called the Sanders. She's been so fast, so good on the ball. We've got the captain, Spitze. It's like Daily Blind, but in the women's team.
Can take free
And
kicks.
also they've got a couple talents, and one of them that really stood out is called Johannes. She's 16, and it's like having Ziyech on the field again. She's been
Oh.
fantastic. It's worth a watch. Don't expect it to be the best football you've ever seen, but it looks better than Ajax under Stein.
We're all switching to the women's team now, man. If you say that. So
I mean,
guys,
they're
yeah,
first in the Champions League, and they are doing pretty well in the league.
yeah, absolutely. I want to finish off one last question, which I always have, and my question is also to the viewers. Hato has been called up. It's the international break. We sometimes talk about Hato, but we don't really talk about Hato. I don't know how else to put it, because it looks very easy. You know, it looks like just a regular player playing for Ajax this season, and we always tend to highlight the players that can do better, and we expect more from those players, etc. But we barely really touch upon Hato. But I just want to squeeze this one in quickly. First of all, do you guys think he deserves to be called up? That's one. And second of all, do you guys think we're being a little bit asking too much of Hato as well? Do we? Because we're trying. I was wondering the other day, are we normalizing that a 17-year-old can do what he's doing at Ajax under these circumstances that we've been through? So just a quick thought on Hato in general and those two questions that I just raised. Luke, let me go with you first.
I love Hato. He's playing incredible. Whenever Ajax needed him, he's always turned up. Very consistent. You know, he has that one old game that, you know, it doesn't go so well, but you do at that age. I think it's too early for him, purely because in England there was a young Theo Walcott in 2006, got called up to the England squad at the World Cup, and then after that, the limelight was on him. Never reached his potential. Okay, stayed at Arsenal and played at Arsenal, fine, but he was meant to be the next big thing. And you look at someone like Bukayo Saka as well, gets burnt out because he plays week in, week out for Arsenal, not say week in, week out, but every game, most games for England. And other players like Foden for England, they all play so many games, they're bound to get burnt out. They're a bit different. They're in their 20s. Hato only 17. I feel like he still has to develop physically to an extent. The intensity on his legs, playing this many games. That's why Martha couldn't keep up as well for a few games. That's why, you know, they were talking about his fitness or whether or not he can start many games in a row. Hato has shown he can start games for Ajax in a row, which is fantastic. Is it the national going to step too far? I think so.
Yeah,
at the
because
moment.
because Anthony's also saying, guys, don't you think we're taking a risk here? He can get injured quickly. He's still growing as well. How do you guys feel about that? Thomas, let me go with you.
Well, he can get injured by brushing his teeth and falling on his head. Yeah, so yeah, I get that this is a bigger risk, but yeah, I wouldn't mind that. And I think he deserves the call up, and I think he's not being overburdened because because he's special in the very best meaning of this word, and we treat him as such. And it's only natural to have high expectations and to use him because we very much need him, obviously. And we have a good history of making very young players very important. De Ligt being the most recent one, I believe.
Yeah, Roy also. Roy also is mentioning this.
Precisely. Yeah, and I know it's very difficult to have trust in our technical stuff right now. But what we can do right now is to trust that the physios and so on that they monitor him and are reasonable, and that if we notice that he needs to sit out a game or two, then that he actually does. But other than that,
funny? Yeah, you know what's funny, by the way? So Brobbey and Bergwijn, they underwent the medical checks and they were overburdened, basically. They were not physically fit and they went back, But Hato is apparently fit and he's the younger player.
Yeah, but you can imagine that actually Brobbey, after the Almere City game, he was so involved that I can understand that, I guess.
Yeah.
And Bergwijn, let's move on. So, I feel he deserves the call-up. I think he can only grow, and he's a person that should, if he gets any chance to gain new experiences, he should go for it. And the only thing around the whole topic is that the people responsible for playing or not playing him, are sane. And if they are sane, then I see only good in this. There was a lot of talk about De Ligt making his debut against Bulgaria, I believe, in the Dutch national team, and he played terrible. And a certain Spas Delev from Polish league scored 2 against him, which was a lot of laughter was in Poland regarding that, because Spas Delev is not a very good player. But I guess we can all agree De Ligt turned out fine in the end. He has some physical issues right now, but I wouldn't say he's a wasted talent. I mean, I expected even more from him at this point of his career, but that's another thing. But all in all, it's not too early for Hato. He's special, and he should be treated as an adult because he's playing like one.
All right. Pierre,
sorry, Thomas. Sorry, just to go on for that. I don't think it's a case of not treating him like an adult and not being ready in terms of physically. I think it's more about the limelight on him. He then suddenly has one game for the Netherlands and plays well. Everyone's like, bomb, the next big thing. No one knows what could happen after that. He might not even reach a certain potential. You never know in football. I think he will. But then say he has an injury, touch wood, right? And then he doesn't reach that potential and the limelight's on him, he's going to be the next big thing. I just wouldn't want it to crash down on him at such a young age, right? So I think it's not so much he's not ready for it, it's more about the limelight on a 17-year-old.
I would say for me, he seems very mature for his age, and if you are a special talent and you want to reach your full potential, you have to take risks. And I know where you're coming from, but if you ask me, I feel like, he's at the place where he should take the risk. We can differ here. That's fine. We simply disagree here.
Okay. Pierre, before I go to you about Hato, let me just add comments because I want to combine these comments.
Respond to what Papi Mento said for a second? He responded in the comments as well. And that's also what I wanted to add.
Which one?
Isn't
This
Hato
one?
actually playing for Young Oranje if he doesn't play for the first team?
I don't understand. What do you mean by that?
Well, basically, we were saying that it might be too much of a burden to play this many games, but if he wouldn't play for the first team, he would play for the youth team, right? So it wouldn't really help.
Oh, that's what you mean. But maybe it's also for him because we don't know if he's going to play, yes or no. But maybe training with the best players we have, because that's a higher level than Ajax. Let's be honest. As much as we love Ajax,
but half the squad is injured.
All right, cool. Before I go to you, Pierre, because you're always, I think one of the nicest subjects you always want to talk about is about potential, about youth players, about how much you rate them, right? So touching about Hato, just quickly a couple of comments, and then I'll give the word or the floor to you. Ajax Magnus is saying, I believe Hato is one of the biggest talents in the last 10 years. He's constantly been one of our best players in an otherwise terrible Ajax side. That's one. Christian is saying, Hato is a player with great potential. I don't think he will play, but getting to sniff at the main squad with what's going to get asked by him, it's a good experience for him. Brian Shafiq is going a bit further. Seedorf was special. De Ligt was special. Hato is special, but he needs his rest. So basically, quickly, just to finalize, I mean, I know you see a lot of players, you see a lot of leaks, you try to find talents, you scout a little bit, on your free time as well. Everybody knows that. How would you rate Hato, not only in the Eredivisie, because we are very much focused domestically, but compared to his other players around his age at the moment? How good can Hato be? How much of a potential do you think he has?
I'd argue he's probably, let's say, the second best young center back in the world. I think the only one that might be ahead of him is Vuskovic, who's just been bought by Tottenham. I don't know if our Tottenham fans still in the chat. I think he's been bought by Tottenham at least. It's a Croatian international, and he reminds me a little bit of PK. He's very good. He's also, I think, very tall and still surprisingly mobile. But I think Hato is something special. Like, his passing is ridiculous for someone at his age. He's so fast. It's really hard to find a more talented player.
How would you compare him to Timber and De Ligt?
I think he's much better than Timber was at his age. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I'd say he's Timber still a bit better right now, but I think Hato will be better. I think Timber was nowhere near this level at his age. It took Timber to, I think he was 19 or maybe 20 when he finally started showing his potential. So I think Hato really is something special. I mean, it says a lot when you debut at 16 for Ajax. It doesn't happen that often. Even though we develop a lot of talents, but rarely do they basically join the first squad that soon. And like they said, it was like Seedorf, De Ligt, Gravenberch, I think, also joined. That's a pretty good list, to be fair.
All right. Guys,
outside of that, one more thing about the Oranje squad. I think he doesn't only deserve the call-up, especially since there have been so many injuries. I also think Koeman will start in one of the games. So that's a little prediction.
Which one do you think? Ireland or the other one?
I think the other one probably, because I think if we win the Ireland game, we're almost good, and then he might as well field Hato the next game, right?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Guys, thank you. It's been a very long one, the longest we've had so far. But yeah, we had, even though there is no Ajax games, there's always enough and plenty to talk about, right? So Peer, thank you so much. Luke, thank you. Thomas, guys, thank you for tuning in. No weTalk Ajax this weekend, so we'll be back next week on Thursday. And 1 week from now, there'll be plenty of topics to talk about as well and touch upon. So good night to everyone, and we'll talk soon.
Cheers.
Peace.